Hi there YouTube, it's me, Morphsuit America. In this video, I'll be talking about Counterside. Yes, I am playing this game. Note that I'm not playing on global, I am playing on the translated Southeast Asia version of this game. I will have links in the description if you want to play this game, try this game out. Note that I'm not being sponsored by them, but I am making my own video talking about why I'm getting back into this game, why I'm playing it actively, and to the point where I kind of like this game. So, if you want to look at a particular point, look in the description for the timescale. I'm not going to go over any technical things with the game. I can make a separate video for that. Note that I am showcasing this in live streams and in some separate videos. I used it for background noise or background footage when I talk about another particular thing or something that's not related to Counterside. But yeah, no, this video is to kind of explain why I like Counterside. It's not because of its mechanics, it's not because of its gameplay, it's more on the very certain thing that will pique my interest if it can make me care. So, the three characters you see on the screen, I will be kind of talking about it because I did go through their event story and I kind of felt bad for skipping over their storyline. Now, if you're wondering how I got into this game, I got into this game because a bunch of my pals were playing a bunch of gacha phone app games and this popped up on my radar, or I saw them play this game, or was like doing polls and whatnot, and it piqued my interest. I got into it. Now, I was playing it actively, but I wasn't going through it as quickly. I tend to take my time with these phone app gacha games, but sometimes I just don't go through it so thoroughly to the point where I realized certain things were kicking in. So I didn't really rush through the story or rush to certain things. I just went about it in my own way, at my own pace. Now, it got to a point where I did stop. It was just because I was doing some other things and I was like, oh, I'll give this game another shot later down the line. But one of my friends, who I will give a shout out to, Aerie, they were quite persistent in telling me like, hey, look, get back into Counterside. Now, usually I'll get back to a game in due time whenever I feel like it. But the big thing that caught my attention was when he said the story is good, you should give it a shot. Now, when someone usually says that, I kind of put that to the test because a lot of people say a particular story is good, but sometimes I'm like, this isn't that grand or awesome and whatnot. Now, I've been exposed to a good chunk of phone app games, gacha games, and other games in other genres, in video games, single player, all that. So, when Aerie said that, I was like, okay, let me actually get back into it because I do want to see what the story is about and see why they are bothering the living heck out of me about it. But I kind of regret not going through the story as thoroughly, and now I'm hooked into it because it does it in a certain way where you ask a bunch of questions and you want to see more of it because of how it's kind of a different approach than most stories. Now, you might say otherwise because, once again, this depends on how much games you've been exposed to or how many stories you have seen. I will say that Counterside has a very unique spin on things, kind of, because of how it's... Well, I don't want to spoil that bit, but you will need to see the story yourself. Once again, you can agree and or disagree, but the story and the character development in this game piqued my interest, made me like the game, made me want to know more about it, and the game does deliver. It will share and reveal all of these different stories and all these giant things in due time. Now, it's a bit of a teaser and it's a bit of a wait, but hey, look, I want more of it. I will wait and see more of it. I do like how these characters interact with each other and all that. Now, I can go further into this topic, but I'm going to save that for a separate video where I talk about more of the things that I've been exposed to in terms of stories and anime and video games and all that, and what really piques my interest. So, that is its own separate video. But specifically talking about Counterside, yes, the story has piqued my interest. the character. Note that your character, like whoever you name yourself as, I'm called Morphsuit. Not Morphsuit America, Morphsuit A on my Counter-Side account. Guess what? The game will say your name, which is nice. But obviously, you can't customize what your character's personality is like and all that, but it's already established to the point where your character is kind of flexible and they can read the situation. Granted that there will be some situations where they can't read the mood and they play a dumb protagonist at times, but yeah, your character in the game has a bit of an impact significance to the story as well. Makes you kind of feel like a badass, but at some moments not really a badass. But they're doing stuff intentionally and maybe not intentionally, but most of the time it has a purpose behind it. So that kind of earns some points with me because most of the time when I play a certain story, some of the characters are kind of dumb. To the point where I'm like, are you kidding me? They're not seeing the obvious signs of this, and this. Alright, I don't remember where I was when I was talking passionately because my brother was on the line. I had to go talk to him. Anyways, yeah. So Counter-Side Story pretty much makes me more immersed into it because of the mystery and just how my character is acting compared to like some other ones I've seen in other games. But anyways, this is where I'm gonna scream out spoilers. I am gonna go into more specific details about certain storylines, especially with the characters that you see on the screen. So if you do not want to see said spoilers, go into the description, click on the time skip, it's gonna go to the conclusion. Oh gosh. So, the storyline. These three characters you see is Dash, Rita, and Horizon. Now, despite me talking about the character development and knowing everything here and there, it still doesn't reveal as much visually about all these characters. You get hints through the story about what they kind of went through, but still, it's not very thorough and as detailed. If you want that, then yeah. But the thing is, the story that I'm going to be talking about is Bottom of the Shade. I did complete it. It took me a while to complete it, but I still need to kind of do a good chunk of its content and actually empty out the event store. Make sure you do these things and empty out most of the events shop because it gives you a bunch of goodies. But anyways, let me talk about the story. Holy shoot. And once again, spoilers. You kind of saw bits and hints over here. Guess what? This story reveals who these two are. Now, granted that yes, they were in Horizon's storyline, but depending on how you play the game or when you play the game, you might realize, oh shoot, there's a bit more to it. So, I'm trying to remember where to go to this stuff. Now, if you do the event in the story, it will be unlocked over here. So if you do skip the cutscenes you want to read at a later time, you can do that. My dumb butt did not actually play almost all the events that were released in the game. I wish I did play these stories because I want to know more and just see it all. The side stories pretty much they stay there and they pretty much reveal a bunch of the characters that you see thoroughly through the main story. Or at least later in the main story. But yeah, the event one is the big one, which goes into some funny, happy scenes, and then there's one that have a bit more depth into it, and it reveals some stuff that you might have questions about. Let me mention once again the two particular stories I'm going to go over, which is Bottom of the Shade and 40 on Crying. Now, I did 40 on Crying first because it was open during Awaken Horizon's release. I did not know about Bottom of the Shade because I didn't play that event. I kind of skipped it, which I should have played it upon its release. Now, to describe this story, 40 on Crying is more of like build up. Well, if you know the anime Danganronpa, and I will pull up the dang thing right now. Danganronpa 3, the anime. The end of Hope's Peak High School. This thing right here I could describe Horizon's storyline, which is For the Young Crying, the future arc, and the hope arc of this anime. Now, dummy me did not realize I'm supposed to watch the despair arc first before seeing the future arc and the hope arc. Now, I watched this first, and then guess what my dumb butt decided to do? Watch the despair arc first. So, pretty much with this story, I watched a good bit first, and then I watched the depressing stuff next. It did not go well for me. I am still bothered by it, and I still want to choke the damn idiot that made this entire thing happen. Now, if you also look at these particular characters, they look very familiar, especially if you play in the very beginning. If you don't know what I'm referring to, once again, spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. I'm just gonna like play a bit of this. This is how you can actually replay some of the story cutscene stuff instead of going through the actual thing again. Who do you think this person resembles? Now, I'll let this cutscene play out. I'm also gonna lower the music and volume for it, so it doesn't overwrite me. Yes. I think you guys got the hint, but if not, I'm gonna make it very clear in a few minutes. Not only that, this guy pops up several times, not only in this particular story, but in someone else's story as well, because he did something. As you can see, the stories start to intertwine and just get bunched together, which answers all these questions you might have about this, and this. Once again, it may not be as thorough, and you might not know the exact details of who this particular person is, but at the very least, you got the hint, especially with what it shows you in terms of the story and what it presents. So, yes. Like, I wish I could go very thoroughly and dissect this stuff, but I don't want to make this video as long. And not only that, I want you guys to see these stories yourself and either agree or disagree with whatever I'm saying. Once again, this is just my opinion on it. But just going through this story made me realize what we did in that first episode. Because, oh gosh. Let me show the scene where... Okay, this is a very familiar scene. Actually, no. This should drop a hint to what might be going on, but once again, I'm not gonna play that one. That one, I'm actually wrong. I think the interlude that I wanted to play was... this one. Now, this will also show your character. You'll see my name right there. Alright, I'm just gonna skim this part, and it's gonna reveal what happened to these two. this story made me depressed. And then for the crying, if you did play it in the right order, this kind of justifies what has happened. Once again, I want to thoroughly show you guys what will happen, but at the same time, you guys need to play it for yourself and then unravel it yourself and actually see the glory moments and all that. But jeez, this story shows good and bad. It shows the light that is awe-inspiring, and like it gives you that that warm feeling. And then there's some stories where it's like, shit, these two were like pretty much innocent, but this dummy that made this all happen, he got away scotch-free, and these two just became monsters. And guess what? Yes, you killed them. You killed these two. But guess what you did? Your main character, you yourself, decide to give these two the final moments. You did what these two tried to promise each other in the past. You made sure that they fulfilled a promise. Even if it wasn't the real thing, you made sure that you fulfilled their wishes. So that gave me a lot more sympathy? I don't know, but I cared about that. I liked that. I like how the story was able to make me be very grateful for showing me this stuff, the good and the bad. But anyways, this is just my opinion. So that concludes this video. Thank you guys for watching. Once again, this is just me sharing my opinion, my take on Counterside. Yes, it's not gonna go into the technical stuff. I mean, if you play it, it might be very familiar in several ways. I might make a separate video going into that. But the reason why I play this game is more for the story and the character development. And once again, the stuff that I spoiled, that's just a bit of what the story has to offer, and it still doesn't answer everything. You still need to explore the game and wait for the game to unravel itself and give you all these juicy bits. Yes, you will hit a wall, a very generic wall where it's like you could be farming and doing the basic sort of stuff at the end where you just log in daily and weekly to do this stuff. But I will wait. I will still play this game until I know everyone's goddamn story and see an end to this. If it doesn't end yet in my lifespan, great, I guess. Actually, no, it wouldn't be great, because if I do die and I don't get to see the finale or the conclusion of this, I would be very upset. But anyways, this is just me showing my passion and love for the game. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you're playing on global, most likely you're not there yet, but hopefully you start to like the game because of what it can offer. And once again, this is just my take, my opinion on it. Maybe you see it as a generic sort of thing like any other game, but I will personally on this game because of what it showed. So, and how it shows love to their characters in the story. So props to the person whoever made this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.